Yeah.
Now I'm ready to vlog. Happy Thankful Thursday morning. It's November 5th, and before I get into what I want to be thankful about this morning, I wanted to talk about something that's been kind of in the news the other day. A few months ago, back on September 1st, there was a police officer who was killed in Fox Lake, Illinois, and his name was Lieutenant Joseph Glinowitz. Now, when they found him, he was unconscious and had a gunshot wound, and he had recently told a dispatcher that he was chasing 3 males, 2 white, 1 black. So immediately, the city and the state and law enforcement everywhere got involved, and there was a huge manhunt to try to find these 3 people in connection with this officer's death. And the officer himself was held up as this hero because he died on duty. And that's the immediate thing we do with anyone who dies on duty, including police officers and soldiers. And I'm not saying that's necessarily the wrong action to take, but because right now there's the idea of this war on cops and this battle between the police officers and the Black Lives Matter movement, this example was trotted out to be yet another point showing that the Black Lives Matter is actually anti-cop and they want all cops to die. And it was definitely connected to this. And it was also connected to Obama because he was making everybody split by race, and there was this heightened rhetoric that he was using that was causing people to want to go out and kill cops. And when they talked about Lieutenant Joseph Glinowitz, they also mentioned the fact that he worked with the Police Explorers program, which is, where young kids get to go and learn about police officers and they get to kind of go on ride-alongs with them. And it's this really great community involvement thing. And Glinowitz had been doing this for years. So only more evidence of what a good, upstanding individual he was. And why everyone should hate the Black Lives Matter movement even more. But just the other day, it was uncovered that there was a long-standing investigation going into Lieutenant Joseph Glinowitz's activities, both in the precinct and on the job and off the job. And they found out he had been embezzling money from the Explorers program for years. He had been using it to pay his mortgage, give out private loans, adult websites, vacations. This was nowhere near the hero they made him out to be. Now, before anyone gets upset, that doesn't mean that he deserves to die. But fact is, he knew that they were coming after him. He knew the investigation was getting close, so what he did was he staged his own death. Turns out while he worked for the Explorer program, one of the things that he did for the Explorers was he set up mock crime scenes. So this was a guy who had experience setting up fake crime scenes, and that's exactly what he did. He called in a fake pursuit about 2 white males and 1 black male, and then shot himself in an alleyway, placing little pieces of evidence around to make it look like he was killed on the job, when all he did was commit the cowardly act of suicide because he was in trouble. And he didn't want to pay the consequences for his actions. And the reason why I bring this up is because, it's another example of everybody rushing to judgment because it fits a narrative that they currently see going on. So everyone took this and they fit it into the narrative of the Black Lives Matter movement being anti-cop and how they're telling people to kill cops. And because they think Obama's splitting the country up and that he's anti-cop, this was a perfect example of a white heroic cop being killed by 2 white males and 1 black one, but at least there was 1 black one and that just fit the narrative. But yet after actually waiting for the evidence to come out and looking into the situation, this was exactly the opposite of what the original folks who were touting this wanted it to be. Now, does this mean, obviously, that all cops are bad and that they're all stealing from somewhere? No. This guy was definitely a rarity. But does that mean that he was some lone outlier by himself and that every other cop is perfect and heroic? No. Even 1 out of 100 or 1 out of 1,000 means there are many of them. So in the end, it behooves us as the public to take it with a grain of salt when we see these things on the news, especially when they've just happened. Crime scenes and things like this take a long time to funnel out all the information and to get the pieces to put together to see what the full picture was. So anyone who rushes to TV stations, whether it be Fox or NBC or CBS or whoever, that they definitively know what's going on and they're just waiting for the evidence to prove them right, just sit back and wait. Now, on to Thankful Thursday. This week I want to point out a particular group that I'm very thankful it exists, and they're called To Write Love on Her Arms. And the reason why it goes so well with this particular story that I just talked about was because this is a group that helps people, a lot of them being teens, but it helps people of any age, that are dealing with depression and suicidal tendencies, cutting, physical harm, self-harm, all the things that go along with that. And this is one of the many groups that are out there that helps those people who are looking at suicide not as a cowardly way out of dealing with their troubles like the way that this cop did, but people who are dealing with it because they just don't have anything to hold on to anymore. Another group I came across a long time ago when they were going on tour with actually a series of bands, one of them being Berlin, and I saw their booth set up at the concert. Found out what they were all about, and I thought, that's really cool. Because one of the great things about them is they took seeking mental help, seeking a shoulder and someone to talk to when you're having these kind of problems with depression or suicidal tendencies, especially in youth, and they made it okay. They in fact made it cool to reach out. By kind of siphoning off pieces of kind of hip culture at the time, or teen culture, they found a way to ingratiate themselves with the youth and with their parents, hopefully, because those parents are smart enough to realize that this is a very positive group. And by making seeking help cool, they've helped more people, which is something to be thankful for. So if you want to check them out more, I'll put a link to them down below. You should definitely check out not only what their mission is, but also their merchandise. They've got tons of really cool shirts and designs. It's really, again, a very cool store and a cool group. And that's all for Thankful Thursday. Hope you guys have a great one. See you tomorrow. And as always, be good to each other.